was a white person because she was raised up since a baby in Denmark. And so she didn't see herself as Oriental, but saw herself as a white person, blonde and everything. Well, everyone drew something, what they felt that they looked like. But for myself, I could not, I could not figure out, to save my life, what to draw. And I pondered on it, and I pondered on it, and I went back to class, and when it was time for us to get up and present our drawing, I stood up with a blank paper. And I says, I do not see myself as how I look, but as how I think. And everyone was very bewildered by my presentation. They thought that I must be crazy, and I kind of felt awkward being surrounded by people who thought I was crazy. But still, I could not draw anything on that piece of paper, so I left it blank, saying that I did not see myself as how I looked, but as how I think. And that was because of the way I was brought up. I'm the fairest one in my family, pulling more towards the white side rather than the Hawaiian side. And so I do not feel like I was really part of the family because of that. I even was treated more white than Hawaiian, and almost felt like I was expected to be more because I was white. And that aggravated me to no end, because instead of feeling loved, I felt that I needed to go do something to make my time here on earth deserving. Well, I didn't believe in that at all. So I searched out the truth of what life was all about. And people in the class asked me questions. And later on, they could see what I was talking about and thought that it was an interesting concept that I had. And later on in that class, I composed this particular sheet. I started out with this particular sheet. It is the second. Well, let me just explain it this way. This is the first piece of paper that I had come up with regarding the new concept that I had just discovered. And this concept came to me during 2 hours of prayer. I prayed and sought God's guidance to help me to figure out why I saw myself as how I thought and not how as I looked. So while praying, I could just see myself in space with a flashlight, and immediately the light turned on in my mind, and I got the idea to write this concept. And so I put it in words. Of course, this is the final draft out of I don't know how many. But I wrote and rewrote and trying to figure out the right words to use to describe this feeling that I was feeling regarding myself. And I shared it with the class, and they really was impressed by it. This was the first step towards my change towards my new way of seeing life. I eventually developed this page here, or I should say this handout, and this one is called The Theory of Spontaneous Transfer, and both of these are pretty much the same, but this particular one here is a question and answer attachment for this one. So let me show you that. Here is another copy of that same sheet, but this particular one is numbered. And these numbers corresponds to the numbers on this question and answer sheet. And it starts with 1 and goes to 12. And 1 and 12. I'll go ahead now and share with you the synopsis of the first 7 phases, which this particular presentation is about. I later on came up with this I would like to say that my research brought me to this particular diagram, which is called the Hebrew Kabbalah, and or the Tree of Life. And I've used this particular diagram to organize the concepts that I eventually came up with and was able to complete the concept that I started back in November of 1995. I later on in January of 1998, I made a business card and passed it out to people. And I would like to explain that here. This particular diagram is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it is, I've used my presentation of the concept that I will be presenting to you, the 7 phases, will begin here as number 1, and it'll go up to number 10. So it's kind of like if you could envision the Star of David, the one triangle interconnected to with the other triangle. This is kind of like what this is. Number 1 here is also interconnected with number 10. So as number 10 and number 1 are the same thing in a way. I don't want to be too confusing regarding this particular explanation of the Hebrew Kabbalah, but to keep it simple, in part 2 I will explain how it works from coming down from 1 here and 10 here, and in this particular presentation, part 1, I will explain starting the number 10. You understand the concepts, which is subtitled here, Steps Towards Understanding Reality, and that's essentially what both parts are about. It's to understand really what the truth, or what is real, truly real, and that's what these 2 presentations will be about. So with these concepts that I'll be presenting with you, starting with the business card number 10 and going to